D. So what I'm telling you at this stage is that C takes the time, E's pretty quick, and D's quote-unquote just a video, and it has a word count of 0, but there's still quite a bit of stuff to think about before you do that 7 minutes of the video. So first things first, look at the IB description and rubric. You'll notice a couple of things. One is that they're looking for two things, not just a video. And two, it's only 4 marks. Okay, so let's see what are the two things they're looking for. They want to see functionality through the video. More on this in just a moment, but basically you need to show that your program works to the extent that it does work on a video. And then there's the other part, though, that here in D, even though you're adding no words to your word count of your documentation, you're being graded on the extensibility. By extensibility, we mean how easily this program can be taken by somebody else, or even you later on, a number of years after you forgot what you've done, how this program, the NetBeans project, can be taken by somebody else and expanded. And it will be able to be expanded, and I'll talk more about this later too, but basically if you have good class structure, if you have good function and variable names, and if you have commenting. Okay. So more on that when we get to my advice, but the other thing that is always kind of a jaw dropper is that if you have a partially functioning program, if you have a program that does not work as you expected from the beginning that it would, you can still get only a couple of marks off. That's it. Partially functioning, functioning well. The difference between partially functioning and functioning well is hours and hours and hours, as you well know. And you want to make it work well, absolutely, but if you get to the point where you're running out of time and you just can't get a couple of things to work, fair enough. Completely fair enough. Take your couple points off and move on and do a good job with all the other stuff. So, you can read through that in more detail later on, but here are my instructions and advice, particularly for doing the video. And again, remember that there still are, even this isn't just the video, this is the extensibility as well. So in terms of extensibility, really you shouldn't have to do anything. If you've been coding correctly, according to the way that I've taught you and that you should, then all these parts, the commenting, the class structure, well, okay, I guess this I have to talk about a little bit. This should be done already. You shouldn't have to change your class names. You shouldn't have to change your class structure. You shouldn't have to change your variable names. You shouldn't have to put in commenting. You should have put commenting as you've gone. Now, do people at your stage of becoming a computer scientist just innately do good commenting as they go? Answer, realistically, no. And so to get your 3 or 4, you're going to have to go back. I mean, how often do I, when I'm teaching, how often do I put comments? Do you see any comments here? I mean, there's this, that's it, right? So if you want the full 4 points here, it's not that hard. It just takes time. You got to go back and, okay, there's certain methods that are too trivial that you don't think that you're going to need to comment, but pre and post conditions, if you remember what those were, right? Preconditions, the state the program has to be in order for something to work. Post conditions, what a particular method will do. Well, there they are. So this is the one where people just kind of sigh and they look at me like, really? Really? I got to go through all those lines and I got to put in a comment after the fact? All I can tell you is to be extensible, to have a good extensible program that somebody can take over, yes. Particularly the parts of your program. So if you do nothing else, I still might give you a 3 or 4. If you did nothing else except for the schmancy parts of your program, the programs that truly are difficult for somebody to follow, you do a good description of them and some comments. And I guess this is the part that you'll have to read through. But basically it boils down to this. As I've been talking to you over the past couple of months and I say, put it on your to-do list, put it on your to-do list. The to-do list can become the extensibility list. So anything that you reach a point and you don't think you have time to do, or you don't know how to do, or you don't think you need to do at this point, ta-da, you have yourself an extensibility list. So maybe at the top of your GUI, which is a good place to have a to-do list, you just change the words to do to extensibility list. Okay, and at the top of your main GUI, somebody can open this up 10 years from now and see the extensibility list. I think you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, fix that, fix this, okay? And that's the other thing here. It's kind of funny, but in order to have an extensibility list, you actually have to have a not quite perfect program. You have to have undone things. And that seems counterintuitive, like, oh no, I've got 2 more hours that I got to spend doing this certain thing. Nope, don't do it. Put it on the extensibility list to get more raids, as counterintuitive as that sounds. Because you want to have things for people to extend. And then, just read through that and you'll get it. Then there's the video. Again, if you're good at this sort of stuff and you just kind of click record and you talk your way through and show everything working, done. 7 minutes of your life later, you're done. But you haven't done probably a whole lot of video recording and you don't even know how to do it necessarily, which application to use, and you're going to have to talk to your friends and figure it out. Just use QuickTime is probably the easiest. So, you know what, I'm not going to talk through all this. Read through it and take a look at some examples. And, you know, it'll be like me. This, what is this? This is D. This is my 3rd or 4th take doing this. My C video, if you just watch that, did it in 1 take. So it is possible that your 4 to 7 minutes is going to turn into 4 to 7 minutes times 5 different takes. Well, if it does, it does. This is something that it's not part of the course, becoming a good videographer. But I think you'll be fine. The big thing is you just have to remember, you just need to show. You don't need to be the world's best videographer. You just need to show that it works. It's the video that shows that it works. They have no other evidence unless they've got NetBeans and they can run it. They have no other evidence that it works. So you just run it. Again, read through some more of the details here before you do it, and take a little while and do a good job. But if I kept on talking right now, I would just say stuff that's already here for you to read. So extensibility and your video make up D.